Now, we're going to walk out.
Stash this over here.
I know, there's no room in the liquor cabinet, so I was like, I'll just hide it behind my drink.
Oh, yeah. No, that's coming out. You're going to have to wait mid-interview and be like, I'm a little parched.
I need a little shot. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to check the camera one more time.
Yeah.
Good job. It's good. Nervous. Have to pee again.
I have that effect on people.
Endless need to pee.
Stuck in my brain.
Hello, fellow moaners. Welcome to Make Yourself Moan podcast. I'm your host, Madison Monroe Curtis, and it's time to dive deeper.
As you now know, we do video episodes here.
No,
But don't worry, most people don't even watch the video. Everyone I know, they're like, I was cleaning and I didn't watch the video, but I normally start off, everybody, if you're not watching it, I don't know what you're doing, because that's the whole point that I do all this extra work, but it's okay.
It's because I'm pretty.
Exactly.
Wouldn't be able to
What
see
a
my pretty
waste.
face if we
What
did.
a waste
know,
if people
right?
are not tuning in right now
After
on video.
all this makeup that I put on.
Your dress is beautiful.
I know. It really is. It's actually Louis Vuitton's cousin.
Bob Marley. With the thigh highs, they really
Steve
make the outfit.
Wozniak.
I know, you were like, so this isn't going to be video, right? Because do I need to look pretty? You do look very beautiful, by the way. And
Yeah.
I apologize for not being more prepared. I was a little scarred recently. My first guest that was not my mom was supposed to be last week.
Oh, snap.
And then they finally tell me they're not coming. They were already going to be an hour late, but that's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm calling, nothing's happening. They're not answering. They're forwarding my call. Well, finally, they respond and say, oh, I didn't feel well on the way there, so I turned around and went home and went to sleep. I was like, but they're like, but I'd love to reschedule with you. And I said, we'll talk about the rescheduling. I hope you feel better.
My
first
people
of
will
all.
talk to your people.
Yeah. I wish you would have told me when you realized you weren't coming, you
Right.
felt ill, but whatever, it's fine. I just spent my whole day waiting on you. So I really didn't know if you would show up.
Yeah. The message on Facebook, and I checked it, and it was like 2:10-ish that I looked at it. Are you coming? I was like, we weren't supposed to meet at 1, were we? I'm like, you're not sitting there waiting on me. I'm like, oh, snap.
No,
Double
not
check.
at all.
Okay. No, it's 2:30. I'm not late yet.
Correct. Yes. No. And I should have been like, I don't know. Part of me just kind of thought maybe no one comes. And it is weird. It's at our house. It's in my bedroom. It's kind of strange, but we've known each other for a while.
Oh, yeah.
So,
It's
I'm
been
a
hot
whole
minute.
real person that doesn't have too many records. And like one of those pictures that the cops take.
We don't talk about those types of pictures.
If you ever come across mine, please let me know and send it to me, because I don't know where they are. I've never actually seen them.
Your mugshot?
Yeah, my mugshots. Yeah, I think I have 2 out there.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, I know. I'm a bad girl. And I've never seen it.
The only time that I ever got arrested, we never got to the mugshot step before they let us go. There were 42 of us
Lucky.
at the city park, and they arrested 42 of us at 2:00 in the morning. This is when we were at Northeast the first time.
Okay.
A whole freaking squad of us went to the city park in Booneville, and it was 1:00 in the morning. Park's supposed to shut down at 10, so they came by and saw us there, parked. 2 people darted, and apparently what I had heard was they called up the sheriff or whoever's in charge and was like, hey, we got kids at the park. What you want us to do? And he's like,
You're like, are they
Book
doing
'em.
drugs? Are they getting drunk? Are they being
no,
weird?
didn't matter. We were trespassing. That's what it was,
Oh my
because the park was
gosh.
closed. So he said, book them. And
Wow.
they loaded us all up, 4 at a time, 3 in the back, 1 in the front.
What in the front?
Shuttled us all to the jail. I think 2 of us got processed. And around that time, the dude called them back, was like, hey, did y'all remember to lock the gate? And they didn't lock the gate that night. So
you were able
they
to
let us
drive
all
through.
go. They let us all go on a technicality because the police were responsible for locking that gate, and they didn't lock the gate, so they let us go on that technicality.
That's incredible.
But because they had shuttled us all there, they said, good luck figuring out your rides. So we had people calling people up. We were in the police parking lot throwing like 12 people in the back of a vehicle, completely illegal, just shoved as many people in there as they could, drove them back to the college. Those 12 people hopped out, got their vehicles, and started shuttling people back and forth from the jail.
My mind is blown, and not at all surprised. Boone, Mississippi police force has always been interesting. Some good ones, but also some silly ones.
Look, all I'm saying is it was a life experience, and I was hardened by the system.
You were hardened by the system. Wow. What about the two that were processed? They just kind of erased the processing, didn't release mugshots. Did they like make you strip down naked and make you cough?
I hope so.
It happened to me, and it was not
Pete
pleasant.
didn't tell me about that story.
I can promise you, maybe in other circumstances it could be fun, but it was not fun. I called the cops one night, and I got arrested because it was like a domestic violence thing. I called and was like, hey, my boyfriend is like hitting me and slamming me into the ground. It's 2 a.m. Can you please just come supervise? Then they arrested both of us and took us to the thing, made me strip down, thought I was hiding drugs in my butthole. It was really inappropriate and weird, and eventually I got out. But at that point, I was like, I'm never calling you guys. This is what happens when you call the cops to help you?
So you're telling me I need to change my hiding spot?
Yes. You better put it in a different hole.
I've been doing this wrong the whole time.
That is the first hole they check, is the butt one. So that is crazy, because y'all were probably just like playing flashlight tag or something.
Yeah, we were playing a form of tag. We had created our own little version of zombie tag.
Okay, I need to hear about this. What does this game do?
Okay, this was like 12 years ago, and we literally made the rules up on the spot. But we'd been playing it for like 3 or 4 days back to back because it was pretty fun. But it was a large crowd of people. Zombies can't climb. They can't jump. They can't do all that kind of fun stuff.
Can they run fast?
They can shuffle as fast as they can manage.
Because zombies
but
don't
they can't
have knees.
sprint.
Okay.
They have pretty much no knees. Then you had to hug the individual and count to 3.
That's
and if you
sweet.
could hug them and count to 3, then the other individual went zombie. Zombies can't talk. So we were constantly yelling at each other, like, say something, say something, say something. And then the person get closer and closer. They wouldn't say anything. So we're just darting off. But you don't know how many zombies there are because the zombies also can't talk. They're not going to tell you that they turned somebody.
Right.
So it could be somebody that you were running around with. They got caught. You're running around. You didn't see them get caught. Next time you see them, they're a zombie. And so the goal was to keep on going until you're the last survivor. And then the last survivor was the zombie for the next round. And
was there only one zombie to start?
It starts with one zombie.
That's insane.
And then it spreads. So,
obviously.
Yeah. And
this was at Kidstown. In the wooden fort days.
This is the wooden fort days, back in the castle times.
When I first drove to Booneville as an adult and looked across the street, I had all the visions of the wooden fortress and amazing days, and I look over and it was metal. I tripped out. I'm like, because my brain was seeing what I used to see, but then my eyes were seeing what it actually was, and it was weird. It was like my childhood and now this sad adult vision collided.
Yes, it's unfortunate.
I mean, but they did rebuild it because of all like the needles and stuff that we're acquiring in the volcano, right?
Yeah, I get it.
We were good kids. It's not our fault. I know, like a metal fortress.
Either way, there should have been a castle.
There should have been a castle. There should be a volcano thing where you like slide down.
Right. How else are 14-year-olds going to practice their hardcore parkour?
Yes, parkour. Oh my gosh. All my friends would just like acrobat across the fortress. That was just the best place. That was all we had in Booneville.
Right. If you don't give teenagers something stupid to do, they will come up with a new stupid thing to do. We were jumping off the 3rd story at the dorms. We would jump over the ledge of the 2nd story, hold on to the edge, and then drop and combat roll when we hit the ground. And there was like 2 or 3 of us that would go to the 3rd story and do it.
Oh my
We just
gosh.
did stupid stuff all the time. It was me and Disco.
Do I know Disco? Real names are so boring.
Yeah,
Which your name's always been Sunshine.
Mine was Sunshine. Mine was Sunshine back in the day.
Okay, well, can you tell other people how you went from Jamie to Sunshine?
Well, this one time at band camp, I go onto the field and I had long flowing locks of golden hair.
That's true.
And they saw me hit the field and like, sunshine, sunshine. Because somebody had watched Remember the Titans
Great
the
movie.
night before the first day of band camp.
Okay.
And forever I was known as Sunshine. I just had to embrace it.
I love that. Well, it fitted you.
Indeed.
I loved it. And it was memorable. Just like I regret not meeting Disco.
Disco was cool. Disco was a spider monkey of a rock star hippie.
This person, do they have a podcast? Because they sound like they need one.
He definitely should have had a podcast back in the day. I haven't talked to him since college.
You should message
see him on
him either
Facebook
right
every
now
once in
or
a while,
after this
but-
episode.
Oh yeah, I have to. I'd be like, bro,
We
we talked about you.
Yes, you're
You're
going to be on
the-
Make Yourself Moan. Welcome to Make Yourself Moan podcast.
Oh yeah.
What has made you moan recently?
The good moans or the bad moans?
One of each, if you want. There are bad moans. I encourage more good moans, but I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're eating Taco Bell and you're moaning because it's so cheesy and good, exactly, exactly.
Which could be a good or a bad moan, to be
I
honest.
mean, start with
I
good,
have-
ends with bad. I don't ever have the problem with the bad though. Thank goodness. My intestines are just like made of cement or something. I don't know.
Beautiful, beautiful. The cast iron stomach.
Yes.
Let's see. Bad moans have probably been nursing school.
Which you're almost
the test
done.
today was good. Oh,
3 more
almost done.
months.
Almost done. Right there at the cusp.
And then you're
In
traveling the
theory.
world helping people.
In theory, I'll go and stab people for a living.
Yay.
Yay, needles. Good moans. We have the Comic Con that's coming up,
Yes.
which is a bittersweet moan because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of stuff to do, but it's always worth it at the end. So the Comic Con's coming up March 15th, 16th.
Which is why we for sure decided to do this episode to
Oh, yeah.
kind of discuss how amazing Comic Con is, and that in here in Tupelo, Mississippi, we have our very own. Is this the 10th year?
This is the 10th year.
That's insane.
I
I saw
know.
that. I was doing the math.
I'm so old.
We're only as old as we feel, and sometimes we do feel pretty old.
My back said I was old this morning.
Your back said you're like 175. So you've been doing it for 10 years. Have you been a part of it every year, right?
Yes. So
How did it come to be? Why?
there's two origin stories.
Okay.
Both origin stories are correct, but one of them is the more generalized story on where the Comic-Con came from. The other one's the more personal story of where the Comic-Con came from. Starting with the generalized story, I went to a Comic-Con in Florence,
Alabama.
the Muscle Shoals area.
Mhm.
Went to one, was like, hey, why don't we have something like this in Tupelo? Tupelo's plenty big. There people
Especially
come to
compared to
Tupelo.
Florence.
Right. I'm like, why don't we have something like this in Tupelo? Dropped it for a few months. Went to the library, found out they had a bunch of manga there, and I like manga and anime, and started talking to one of the librarians about it. And she's like, yeah, we have a cosplay club that meets here at the library, and I want there to be a Comic-Con in the city, so I'm going to call up one of the Comic-Cons and tell them to come to the city and do this and do that. And I was explaining it to her. It's like Comic-Con isn't exactly a traveling circus. There's not where you don't just call somebody and tell them, hey, I want you to come visit my city next weekend.
That's
You got to sit there and
hilarious.
organize the
Mhm.
whole thing. So I started looking into it again, found out why there wasn't a Comic-Con in Tupelo. The biggest reason why there wasn't a Comic-Con in Tupelo is because the city of Tupelo's population isn't that big. But if you aren't from Tupelo, you don't realize that Tupelo is kind of a hub city
Mhm.
for all the other cities in an hour radius of it.
100%.
So when looking at the population, you can't just look at Tupelo, you got to look at the hour radius.
Yeah.
Which even within the population of the hour radius, most of the bigger shows wouldn't move in and start one.
With the
But
amount
it's
of
definitely
people?
big enough for a show that's my size. Well, we're talking like the ones that do travel. So there are really big corporate conventions. They'll set up like 5 or 6 shows, and they run those 5 or 6 shows every year. And so that's what they'll do. They'll go and set up a show here and set up a show here and set up a show here, like Wizard World or something like that, fan expos.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few conventions that do set up multiple shows a year. They'll usually pick somebody in the area and they'll train somebody in the area to do the local stuff. And they'll bring in huge names and travel the huge names from location to location. So in that sense, there is something like a traveling circus for Comic Cons, but Tupelo wouldn't be big enough for that. They're looking at Nashville, New Orleans, Atlanta.
What's the difference between Tupelo, Mississippi and Huntsville, Alabama? Because that's just, what, 3 hours?
Huntsville is about 3 hours from Tupelo, but Huntsville's about 3 times our population.
Including the hubs.
Including the hubs.
Wow.
So
that's huge.
Tupelo is sitting at about 75,000 people.
That's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people. Huntsville is sitting at 250.
What? Wow. Okay. It's like Weird Al Yankovic is coming to the next one I saw, which me and my mom want to go.
He's going
check
to the
that
Huntsville.
Out.
It's Huntsville's 10th year as well. They started the same year we did.
Did y'all communicate that year?
Not that year.
But y'all just
we
ironically.
Met after. We just both happened to start around that same time frame.
It's so weird when that happens. Like you have this idea that you've been cooking up for however long, then you and your friends make it happen, and then all of a sudden it's, why is this happening in multiple places? Kind of like tattoos that are trendy. Like individuals really want the sunflower on your shoulder or something.
Oh yeah.
But then 3 years later you realize like hundreds and thousands of people got that. Like that was a Pinterest sensation. I thought I was original. I don't know why it is like that. Like,
and some of it's just that Comic Cons have been a thing for decades.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of coincidence that ours happened to start the same year. There's one in Birmingham that had been around for several years before we did ours. And there's a anime convention in Memphis that's been going on almost 20 years. They were doing it back when we were in college the first time around. So, Anime Blues Con.
So you told the library lady it's not a traveling circus, but then what happened next? How did it become, like, when did that happen versus when the first year happened?
So I went and talked to the city, went to the permits department. They sent me to the Conventions and Visitors Bureau, started talking to them about venue locations and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up going to the Link Center and finding a bunch of my friends over at the karaoke bar. I got a big group of my friends together and started throwing this thing together. It took about 1.5 years to plan the first one. So we started planning in 2015, and the first year was in 2016. That was year number 1.
What do you remember from that year? And how does it differ from this year coming up, the 10 year?
The biggest thing is I had no idea what I was doing. I had been to 2 conventions at that point. I had been to that one in Florence, and I had been to Dragon Con, which is like a 70 to 90,000 person event in Atlanta, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And
my mom's been there.
Very different types of shows. And I had worked at Boy Scout summer camps and filled in the chains like a Jurassic Park mesh mayhem of I'm going to throw this thing together. And we threw it together. It was successful, and we started the next year, which was a whole lot more chaotic. It was a lot bigger, but it was a whole lot more chaotic.
Where was the first one held at?
The first one was held at the Link Center in Tupelo. So we did the first one at the Link Center. We sold out in like the first 30 to 45 minutes, had to stop letting people in.
Because of the fire hazard or whatever?
The building wasn't big enough. I was expecting 300-ish people. We had like 1,200 come through the door.
How much y'all charge for entrance then?
It was like $20.
How much is it this year?
25.
10 years later. But last year, wasn't it 30 to 50 in the last 2 years?
So this is what happened with our prices. We did 20 for a 1-day event.
Okay.
We went to the furniture market, started going there. I think the price got up to $45 for the weekend, and then COVID happened. When COVID happened, we decided to take our one-day pass price, which was $20, and just go ahead and make everything a weekend pass at the one-day pass price.
Wow.
So people can come the whole weekend for the $20 price.
And why'd y'all do that?
The biggest thing was people were struggling financially. We had a lot of people that weren't going to work. We dropped our vendor prices down so that we could get the vendors to come in because they hadn't been working in a year. Because everything got shut down. So we dropped the price to make it easier for people to be able to come in, and we had a good turnout. People could afford to bring their family and friends and all that kind of fun stuff at the cheaper price range, and we just decided to keep it at that lower price range.
That's really incredible.
We cut a lot of little corners to get the price down that low, but you know, we had more bodies, and that helped to compensate for the drop in price. So
wow. Did y'all ever not put it on between 2019 and 2021?
2020, we were the weekend before the shutdown happened. So
thank goodness.
The next weekend, after the Comic Con ended, the next weekend, the mayor sent the cops to shut down the auction that was happening in the same building.
Wow. To shut it down. Mid-auction.
Mid-event. Right. He sent them. They shut down the event halfway through. So we dodged the 2020 bullet.
Yeah.
We were going to skip 2021, but because there was that phase in between the first shutdown and the second shutdown where everything was kind of in the clear for a few months, the city had put out to the shows that they sponsored, which the city sponsors our show. They give us a grant. They sent emails out to all the events that they sponsored and were like, hey, we're trying to get things back up and going. We're going to increase the grant funds and we're going to change all the restrictions. And so we were like, well...
So the city was backing you to promote.
They were backing us to make it happen. So we moved it back a few months, and we went ahead and had a show in 2021.
Everyone wore masks, maybe?
It wasn't as mandated as much as it was if you prefer. And then if there's a celebrity or special guests that requires it, then you have to have a mask to get into their line and stuff like that. So
okay, that makes sense. I know my mom.
It was very individual based, but respect individuals' wishes.
Okay. She went to see William Shatner during that time, and she had seen him before at a Comic Con. The difference was you could take a picture with him like this, arm in arm, and then during COVID, there was this like plexiglass wall that you both had to stand on opposite sides of the wall. I think he was wearing a mask. And
a lot of people did that as well.
I mean, I get it. I'm not shaming anyone. It was weird times, and here we are in 2025, and COVID what? Maybe 1 out of every 300 people are still wearing a mask.
Right. Well, that's the thing is COVID wasn't what we think of today as the flu, but COVID acts very similar to how the flu was when the flu was introduced to humans. Like the whole Spanish flu that happened in 1912, that was a flu, but it was a deadly flu because our bodies weren't accustomed on how to handle that type of a virus. Every time a virus gets introduced to a body of people that don't have a way to deal with it, it hits them hard. That's like the same thing that happened to the Native Americans when the Europeans came over. They brought disease. It hit the Native Americans really hard, even though it didn't affect the Europeans very much.
Which is ultimately, I think, what happened in Pocahontas.
Right. And so that's the same thing that happened with COVID. The virus adapted so that it wasn't affecting other species of animals. It was affecting our species of animal, and our bodies weren't accustomed to it. It hit us really hard until our bodies learned how to become accustomed to it, and now it's going to be the flu 2.0. It's just going to be, we now have the COVID season and we have the flu season, and that's just going to be how it is. People are going to get the flu. They're going to stay home for the day and go about life.
I feel like COVID definitely kicks your butt in these not so physically obvious ways, and maybe even psychologically. I feel like it still affects my sense of smell.
Yeah.
The way I smell things is a third of how I used to could smell things after I got COVID.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew I got COVID. I was hanging out with my grandparents, and my grandpa was very on the side of against COVID, against vaccines, like COVID's not real. I don't know why, but he wanted to go do something, but he had to get a proven negative COVID test to do it.
Right.
He went to the hospital, did the free test. He's 90 years old, and turns out it was positive. And me and my partner were sitting there chilling with him. And so he comes back, he's like, it was positive. And then they text my grandma, and she's positive. Me and my partner go home. We're like, I mean, we've been hanging out with them for a while. You think we got it? And we took some tests. The test came back negative. Well, I got some tea from a friend in Colorado, and he said it was medicinal tea. So I'm going to go get it, and we can drink that. I get it from my van, and we were in his camper. So I bring it in, and I'm like, I guess it's really stale. It used to have a smell, but it doesn't anymore. And I take off and give it to him. He's like, this has a very strong smell. You don't smell that? And I'm like, no. And I started smelling everything in the fridge.
I have the plague.
I can smell a dang thing. And we just looked at each other like, oh no, the rumors are true. And he eventually lost his smell, and I had a migraine for 3 weeks. But that was the most COVID thing that I experienced. What about you? Did you get it?
I didn't get it until 22.
2020, when it was kind of over.
2022, after it was
It's
over.
never over,
I
but
got
you know,
it.
people.
Right.
The experience that we were experiencing as humans, like no concerts, no public birthdays, the world's back to normal.
So I've been on an ambulance the last 7 years in Tupelo.
Okay.
I was surrounded.
With all the sick people, the sickest of the sick.
I was surrounded by the COVIDs.
Yeah.
Nobody was around the COVIDs more than me.
You're like, if you had COVID, I met you.
I had been coughed in the eyeballs. Had people coughing all over me. I didn't get it. I didn't get it until I went to a Boy Scout camp in Arkansas after the apocalypse ended.
Wait, you were going to Boy Scout camp as an adult?
Yes, so I was working at the Boy Scout camp.
Okay. Cool.
So, Boy Scout camp. Every summer I tend to go back to the Boy Scout camp. I got out of the military, started working on the ambulance. In 2019, I went PRN. Mm-hmm. So kind of like a substitute teacher for the ambulance. So if they have an open spot, they'll call me, or they'll call somebody else, or they'll put it into the big group chat. Hey, we have an open spot. And if you're on PRN, you're not working, you can fill in the empty spot.
Cool.
So I got to pick my own schedule. During the summers, I just wouldn't sign up for anything. And I'd go work at a Boy Scout camp because I was in scouting. I got my eagle and all that fun stuff.
That's incredible. Good job. That's amazing. Yeah. Yes.
So I'd go work at Boy Scout camps and teach or do whatever it was that the Boy Scout camp needed. Teach knots. I was actually at the Arkansas camp. I was teaching a mountain man program. So I was doing.
It's pretty hot.
Blacksmith. Cool. I know, right? It was very hot, especially because of the blacksmithing. And it was the summer.
Oh my gosh. In where, Arkansas?
Hardy, Arkansas. So we would teach blacksmithing, tomahawk throwing, hide tanning. So we would tan rabbit hide throughout the week.
Where would you get rabbit
hide? Once a week. From a rabbit.
I mean, did you kill the rabbit and then take its...
They didn't. We would bring up some meat rabbits. Mm-hmm. And before the kids got on top of the mountain, I would already have the rabbit dispatched and hanging from its hind legs. I would talk to the kids, explain to them they don't have to watch any of this. They are more than welcome to go tour the cabin, which this is their first day. They haven't seen the big cabin that we have. Mm-hmm. You can go take a look at the cabin, but we're going to skin this rabbit. We're going to eat this rabbit, and we are going to tan the hide throughout the week. So we would skin it, we would cook it, we would make rabbit stew up there on the mountain, and we would I know
that's pretty cool though. I mean, I don't want any part in that, but I have some mountainy friends, and they would be all about that, and they're all very cool people, because those are really good skills to have. You never know when
they're good
that's
skills.
Life or death.
And this isn't a merit badge requirement or anything. This was more of a high adventure program. Mm-hmm. So anything that they didn't want to do was more than okay. It wasn't going to negatively impact them by any means. I never had a kid that didn't want to see it or do it or be involved with it. Everybody wanted to be a part of it. As a matter of fact,
YOLO.
most of the time the kids were upset that I dispatched it before they got there.
Okay, wow, these hardcore kids.
12-year-olds.
They were in the right spot.
12-year-olds are aggressive.
Yes, they are. They are.
Especially when they started letting girls in scouts. So scouting isn't just for boys anymore. It's co-ed
And it's still
now.
like that?
Yo, the girls are more vicious than the boys.
Well, as a girl, I am not at all surprised. Girls want to do more than sell cookies, but
dangerous.
That's amazing.
They will kill us.
Do you see that ever changing, them taking away girls' right to be in the Boy Scouts? Or I guess it's just called Scouts?
It's called, so there were name changes that have been happening slowly over the last several years. It's officially been changed to Scouting USA. They still use the BSA acronym simply because that's an established branding. BSA stands for Boy Scouts of America.
Oh, okay.
So BSA is a common short term for the scouting program. And so they'll still use the BSA term, but they have gotten rid of Boy Scouts. It's now Scouting USA or Scouting America.
Okay, 2 questions. One, what was your thoughts when they started doing that? Because I guess you had been a part of it before and after that happens. And 2, what is the uniform situation?
So the uniforms are the same. The uniforms didn't change very much. There's been mild changes to the uniform. They actually just announced the changing of the badges. So the badges used to say Scouting or Boy Scouts of America on the badge. They just changed it to Scouting of America or Scouting America down there. So moving forward, you'll get a newer version of the rank patch. My personal opinion on it was always very open to the idea. I had been wondering why it hadn't been so sooner, mostly because around the world, every country, well, not every country, but every country who has a program is already co-ed. America was very behind in terms of it being separate, and the excuse was always that the Girl Scout program was there. And so they didn't need to let girls into scouting because girls already had scouting. My personal opinion on it was that Girl Scouting in most instances isn't what is advertised as what Girl Scouting is. If you look at Girl Scouts in media, they're always going camping. They're always doing all the same things that the Boy Scouts would be doing. But if you talk to most Girl Scout troops, they don't go camping. They don't do outdoors skills. They do arts and crafts, indoor projects, and then they sell cookies.
I was a Girl Scout for a moment.
And they sell cookies.
And you're 100% right. I'm a very adventurous girl.
And so there are exceptions. There are good Girl Scout troops out there.
I'm sure.
But the exception isn't the definition of what the program is. So I wasn't a big fan of the Girl Scouts program as a whole. We had the Daughters of Scoutmasters that would outdo the boys in a lot of these various skills because the Scoutmaster wanted his daughters to know these types of skills too. I didn't think it was fair that she wasn't getting the awards and the ranks and the recognition and all that kind of fun stuff either. So I was more than open to it. I acknowledge the stance that a lot of people had that had been in the program before, that they felt that it took away from the boys because boys do act different when there are girls around.
And vice versa.
And vice versa. And there isn't really a lot of brotherhood bonding type of things that are out there for guys to go and grow up with other boys and do things. And I acknowledge that might be missing some of that with being co-ed. However, I think the girls get a whole lot more out of it than the boys might lose. So
that's beautifully put.
I think when it comes to the good versus bad scale, I think it just makes a whole lot more sense to have girls in scouting because the program's already there, and that's the stuff that girls think they're getting when they're getting into Girl Scouts.
And when both genders are learning the basic skills and the survivor skills, they can always form different groups and go out and do these, same-sex events,
Right.
if they need that male bonding, because I do think that type of stuff is special and unique. But if, like you said, if the girls were missing out on this huge thing and all these life skills, and the guys they were losing is not on the same spectrum,
Right.
it's worth that.
Right. Outside of the higher adventure programs, scouting sets a kid up to be a jack of all
Trades.
Scouting is designed to teach kids. This podcast just going everywhere.
I love it.
I know, right? Scouting is designed to do one of three things. It either wants to introduce you to a potential lifelong hobby, wants to introduce you to a potential career field, or it wants to make you a decent human being. They'll talk about personal fitness. That's a part of taking care of yourself. They'll talk about citizenship, personal finance. They'll talk about all those things that just make you a good functioning member of society. It introduced me to blacksmithing. It introduced me to electricity, plumbing, metalworking. I had to crawl up under my house yesterday and fix my busted pipes.
And you know how to do that because of scouting?
And that's something that was introduced to me from scouting.
Wow.
Woodworking, all that
Am I
kind of
able
fun
to be a
stuff.
scout? This sounds amazing. Instead of just
You could
self-teaching
sign up
on
and go work at
YouTube?
a summer camp. You'll learn things.
Wow.
When you can learn it all from YouTube. YouTube will teach you anything.
Yes, it will. And that's where I typically go. But this sounds like, really hands-on.
Yeah, there was lots of opportunities when I was a kid in the scouting program. And that was a big part of it. Taking care of pets. Yeah, there's animal handling and pet merit badges and stuff like that.
That's incredible.
I took care of turtles when I was
Y'all need to just be the
scouting.
teachers of America. That is what we need to be learning in schools.
That's a big part. I think there should be something like that.
And maybe in some schools there are. My brother moved to Alabama and got to learn welding, but in a Mississippi school, zero
Not
reasons.
a big fan of the current.
Nothing to do curricularly except sit there and learn pre-algebra 7 times.
Yeah, our school system was set up,
in 1912.
A long time ago.
Still doing the same thing. I'm surprised it's bigger than a church house.
It hasn't updated. It hasn't evolved. So
Mississippi.
It needs to. Oh shit! That's the country still.
You think
that's
so?
Still just general education, public education in general.
Yeah, there's always the exception, right? There are a lot of ones doing it really great, but they're doing it great while a lot of others are doing it terrible.
Oh yeah, and don't get me wrong. I understand that education is an important aspect, and there are things that people will look at in education that I do think are somewhat important. Yes, I can still tell you the Pythagorean theorem. I'm not using the Pythagorean theorem, but the fact that I took the time to learn the Pythagorean theorem still helped to advance my ability to process and learn. And so I acknowledge that, okay, I might not be using the Pythagorean theorem, but everything's a stepping stone to get to other places.
If I rewatch this episode later, or when I do, I'm just going to take a shot every time I hear you say Pythagorean
theorem.
It's one of those things that's starting to sound weird.
All right, here we go.
Shot.
Pythagorean theorem.
Hey, go for it. And I want to say, you're a very rounded individual. You should take a shot. Well, I'm not, only if you want to, obviously. I don't want to get canceled. She made him drink on the podcast. Do you want a shot glass? I'm
not as think as you drunk I am.
Do you want a shot glass?
Yeah, give me a shot.
I got you. I'll be right back.
Give me a shot.
I'm loving it. I have a cup fetish.
Now that I'm in
So
control.
I have so many cups.
Now we're going to talk about some secrets. So this one time,
I was in the band. I played flute for 7 years.
I started off as a saxophone player and somehow ended up on the tuba.
You went from woodwind to brass?
I went from woodwind to brass.
And saxophone is this kind of a thing, and a tuba is
I went from a million buttons to 3.
Yes. How'd that happen? Most people don't change that kind of drastic musical instrument.
Yeah, usually they just evolve to the next
You were strong enough to hold a
stage.
tuba and they needed another tuba player, right? Is that it?
They needed another tuba player. The band program got cut where I was at, and so I moved high schools. And I was supposed to be practicing the saxophone after I moved back to this high school to get caught up. And I did not practice the saxophone during that semester during the football season.
Most people don't.
So
Unless you're
coming
first year.
back, right. So coming back to second semester, the sophomore year of high school when I'd moved back, he was like, hey, I have one tuba player and he graduates next year.
Mm-hmm.
So you suck at saxophone. You want to learn how to play the tuba.
I knew it had to be that. As a bandmate, I was like,
100%.
that's the only reason, aesthetically and sound-wise.
Right. I could read music. I already knew how to read bass clef because I was also jumping from treble to bass clef.
Okay, pretty cool.
I could already read it because I sing bass in the choir.
Sing a note.
Note.
Or what is, like, don't you go like, ah, la, lo?
No.
Okay.
No, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
That was great.
Yes, Pythagorean theorem.
You're so good at everything. I need a chaser. I'm a baby. Where's that Coke? I know we did not completely plan this. You don't need a chaser at all? I'm Donkey Kong and I need a chaser. Don't need. I'm an adult. I prefer a chaser.
Donkey Kong is a chaser. I suppose in the original video game, he was more of a runner.
Oh my gosh.
Mario was the chaser.
So I can drink like 4 triple Jack and Cokes a night. I don't ever do shots anymore. I'm going to hide the rest of my shot right here for now. I keep telling my partner that we're going to move to Oregon.
Nobody tell my Mormon mother.
Your mom's Mormon? We're going to be here all night. Oh my gosh. Is that your mom?
I hope it's not my mom. Who snitched?
Oh, it's 3:50. Well, I think it's an alarm. That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, that was my alarm I set last night when I needed to wake up and study more.
Okay, so we came to talk about Comic Con, but we're talking about Boy Scouts, gender equality scouts, and Pythagorean theorems.
The Pythagorean theorem. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared.
How would you describe yourself as a kid? And were you into cartoons, anime? Because you're not just an anime nerd, which
right. I'm a jack of all trades.
Yeah,
nerd.
which I think most humans are. But everyone, in high school, you want to be classified. People want to say that they're an anime. That's the type of person that would go to a Comic Con, right?
Right. So I was all the way up until high school. I was the reject kid that was weird on purpose because that's what I had embraced. And I was the type of kid that thought it was funny to be annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So I was constantly annoying people on purpose.
But did you perceive it as you were annoying them, or you were
Yes,
being
I did.
funny?
I knew I was.
Okay.
I thought I was being funny, but I also knew that they were annoyed, and I thought that was funny. So I was doing it for my funny, not for everyone's funny.
Okay, you're selfish.
Yeah, I was a little something. I'd have punted myself across the room.
Hey.
I didn't have any friends growing up, all that kind of fun stuff. I was a military brat.
The dream.
I know, right? I was never in the same place more than 3 years anyways.
Wow.
So we were always moving around.
I'm surprised you joined the military after that experience.
Well, the military thing for me was always a family thing. My grandparents went, all of my aunts and uncles went. My mom and dad were both active duty. So I'd known I was going to be in the military since I was 5. High school, I started calming down a little bit, but you don't just transition from something instantly.
Right.
So I was still the weird kid. Not that I've ever not been the weird kid.
But you started acknowledging of how other people saw you.
Right. I started not intentionally being annoying because I thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
I was still a class clown, but I was a lot more tame in high school, which if you talk to anybody who knew me in high school is going to sound absurd.
Okay. But you
Because I
knew
was
that
still
you
a
had
wild
turned the
kid.
volume down.
But I knew I turned the volume down. I changed the channel a little bit, but
Wow. What was that like? Did something happen for you to be, you were comfortable in liking yourself more by being the annoying, funny person to, ooh, I want to change this?
So I still followed my own tune. I didn't change the I don't care what you think about me side of things. So I was still playing Pokemon. I was still doing Yu-Gi-Oh! I was still doing all the nerdy
And you're
things that
saying
I
that you
liked,
still were doing that, but people were shaming you for that type of stuff?
but I wasn't going out of my way to be annoying. So I wasn't um
Did people look
like
down on you?
flicking food at people or
That would be annoying. Yeah.
yeah, or like I'm
Licking your
tapping
finger
my
and touching their ear.
yeah, licking my finger and touching their ear, or tapping on the desk and you tell me to stop so I do it more type of stuff. I stopped a lot of that type of stuff. I still had the I'm gonna be me, I don't care what you think
Do you
type
feel like
of
people were
stuff.
looking down on you for
But
doing Yu-Gi-Oh! And
oh
Pokemon?
oh yeah. This was the time frame in high school where everybody was extra judgmental.
Before the app came out, before Pokemon Go came out,
Before
and
Pokemon
everybody
Go
wanted
came
to
out.
do it, even the cops.
Well, it changed in college because everybody that was a nerd in high school was either not part of the cool kids or they were doing it in the closet. They were closet nerds.
Closeted nerd.
They were closet nerds. And I noticed at Northeast after high school is I noticed all the closets starting to get kicked down.
Okay.
So like people would play Pokemon video games, but they wouldn't talk about it. And then at Northeast, when I got to college, they were still playing it, but they'd be playing it, and somebody would see you playing a video game, and they'd kind of like sneak over there, be like, "What you playing over there? Pokemon? Okay, we're gonna play Pokemon." And they go,
Yeah.
"Oh, bro, I'm gonna go get my DS real quick," or their Game Boy Advanced, and so they'd get out, and people would start coming out of the closet. People would just start being nerds.
That's hilarious, but accurate.
So,
do you think it's
yeah.
a confidence thing? Because I'm the oldest of a lot of brothers, and my brothers were always hardcore Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon.
Mhm.
I didn't understand the whole card game Pokemon, things like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but I loved the show. And when they would do their card exchange and their games, I got to collect all the cute Pokemon, like
Yeah.
Catafree and Ninetales. Like, those are my cards.
Yeah.
I was always so proud, but I definitely understood that there was like a shame that came with having a love for that from a male perspective, it seemed.
Yeah.
What is it? Confidence? Is it gender focused? Like, you think girls just didn't care? Because I had some female friends who were obsessed and knew how to play. They were on Xbox every weekend playing Halo, but they didn't care.
Yeah. So video games a lot of it has to do with whether or not something became mainstream. You had sports. Sports is something that guys or boys did that was okay. It's mainstream. Everybody knows about it. You can play sports and you're not a nerd. You're not weak. I want to go. You want to go play some Magic? You're not a dork. Okay.
A nerd can join the football team, and all of a sudden they're less of a nerd.
All of a sudden they're less of a
in this
nerd.
time.
But you're going to be a football guy. You're not going to be a nerd. If you're a nerd, you weren't going to make it in the football team because the people that were a football team were focused on football. They weren't focused on nerd stuff. I wasn't focused on football. I didn't care about football. Football could have been nothing to me.
It was nothing to you, probably.
It was nothing
Okay,
to me.
maybe it's the Cobra Kai that I'm currently rewatching speaking to me, but I feel like I was in the band, and I think I like low-key invited myself to the Popular Girls house for all these different events. They didn't really want me there, but I would end up there because I love talking to everybody.
Yeah.
So that keeps me from just being all in to like the boxes of nerds and the popular kids and things like that. But I do notice the divide. Yeah. But I wish it was easier, and I hope it's almost that way now of everyone can just be friends with everyone.
Yeah, my high school was very cliquish.
Okay.
So my high school was very cliquish.
Where'd you go to high school? Was it in Mississippi?
Corinth High School.
Okay.
So
we played you.
starting sophomore year. Yeah, I'm sorry. Um,
Y'all had the bad A colors like black and red, right?
Yeah, we had black and red. We were savage.
You're blue and gold. Our mascot's a devil, so it's a little weird.
We were an Indian.
Which is it still an Indian? It's probably
I have
changed
no
now.
idea.
It got canceled, and now it's probably something else.
I haven't looked. I
bet
haven't
it's
paid
different
attention.
now. I kind of hope it's different because
Huh.
that would be weird if it's not in this day and age. Because my college mascot was a Native American, and they changed it to a bird.
Mm-hmm. Well, the mascot may have changed. The logo or whatever we'd call it would.
It's like
change.
a arrowhead, right?
It might be now that you say that, because it used to be an Indian, a Native American head. It was a head, side,
But like with feathers
side profile
and stuff, right?
with 2 feathers going down.
Okay.
And that used to be the mascot, but our name was Warriors.
Yeah.
We were the Corinth Warriors. I doubt that changed.
Right. Yeah, that's
So,
universal. A little bit.
Yeah, that's pretty.
It's probably a Viking now. A white, large male. You.
Me.
You could be the mascot.
I hate football, and I'm going to be on the poster
The
child of
mascot's
all
for everyone,
football.
not just football. You know,
I enjoyed
I was not in
playing
football, but I claim
yeah,
the devil head, I guess. It was really weird and conflicting being a hardcore Christian and putting a devil on my shirt and being like, "Go Devils!" I was like, my grandma is shaming me.
Back in the Harry Potter is evil days.
Thankfully, I never experienced
Pokemon
that.
was the satanic
But
symbols.
Pokemon, the word means pocket devil, right?
Pocket monster.
Pocket monster. Thank God. Pocket monster.
Pocket monster. Yeah,
Pocket
it was
monster.
pocket monsters.
That's better. One of my favorite movies ever. I think it was one of those. Jack Black played in one of the movies. The books, the Beetle Buggle. Like, it's a bunch of books that are scary, but low key scary.
Oh,
And then they made some movies about them.
Right. I know what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
The RL, not the RL.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Steam.
yeah.
Okay.
Goosebumps.
Yes, thank you.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Got
I don't
it.
know if this is a Goosebumps thing, but it could be. But one of my favorite movies was the guy would draw pictures and then it would come to life.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, I think that was a Goosebumps.
Do you remember the name?
sounds like
It
a
was so
Goosebumps.
scary but awesome. And then I love Death Note. So like combining
yeah,
those
yeah.
two worlds, I don't know if I have a fetish with like notebook paper, but like because
I have a paper fetish.
I think I do because I have a Death Note in my back room and I feel conflicted because I'm like, I'm a Christian. I would never want to kill people by writing their name, but also how cool is this series?
It was a good series. I did like Death Note. Death Note
Favorite
was like the
character?
first
You an ale or white man?
corruption character. The first
Really?
corruption anime
No
that
way.
got really popular.
Okay, not
So,
first,
like,
but first popular.
Yeah, first popular corruption anime. So where it's focused on the corruption of the main character falling into darkness and all that kind of fun stuff.
And also conflictedness because when he didn't have the Death Note, he was kind of like back to
Yeah.
that good boy, want to make my father proud. I would never do that. I
Yeah,
want to solve.
Because he
doing this.
started off as a decent person. He wasn't the greatest person in the world. It didn't tear him up to start using the Death Note.
Mm-hmm.
But he definitely went from your average successful high school kid to a monstrous I'll kill you just because you're in my way
Mm-hmm.
type of individual. So it was a huge corruption anime, and it was like a really
Elon
popular
Musk.
starting off one. I don't know what you're talking about.
Me neither. Okay, so but are you more Team L or Team White? Or both? I mean, you would beg them both?
I would do terribly unspeakable things to both of
Same. I mean, if we're being real, say threesome? Come on. Like, I love both of them.
You know what they say? It's not gay when it's in a three-way.
I haven't heard that.
With a
but I'm
nunny in the
down.
middle, there's some leeway. No. There was a big.
I've not heard that, but I love it.
no,
I love that.
There was a big Lonely Island song on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Where he's
not
like, I'm
gay
on a
when it's
boat,
in a
that guy?
three-way. No,
Like, I'm on a...
Yeah,
I'm on a boat.
the same group.
Okay.
They did a trilogy series of one of them was Dick in a Box.
Yep, I know that one.
The second one was Mother Lover.
I've heard that one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a
I'm
mother
a lover,
lover.
I'm a mother lover, you're a mother lover.
Justin
We should
Timberlake
fuck each
too,
other's
right?
fucking each other's moms. Then the third one was
That was good.
three-way.
Okay, and not have
It's
my
not
chili.
gay when it's in the three-way. It's okay when it's in the three-way.
They're above
With
their
the honey in the
time.
middle, there's some leeway.
If they came out now, they would be winning Grammys. The fact that they were doing this, 10, 12 years ago, like old Greg times,
Right.
they were making broad moves.
Well, part of it is the fact that they were making fun of the genre.
What genre? Rap?
No, they were making fun of the subject matters.
Oh, but also
because
while
they were
living it.
Because they were the sleaziest.
You can't
of
speak on it like that
individuals.
if you're not currently doing it, right? Like that's some deep experience. That's method acting.
Method acting. You're right. You're right. They were totally.
His dick was in a box when he was writing that song.
They were definitely trading each other's mothers.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure there's footage like that on Reddit somewhere.
It was beautiful. There was no acting involved. It was actually just a documentary.
Oh my god. Okay, so side story, which we haven't done that yet.
Right.
I work with a girl named Katie, and she's great. She asked me what I was doing with my weekend because in the middle of the week I'm off from my main job.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I have this podcast interview with this really cool guy that puts on the Comic Con in Tupelo, Mississippi. She's like, Jamie Nunley? I'm like, yes.
I got around.
First of all, so many points for you because, but she said that
So
she
just
played
one
magic
trivia
with
night.
you.
What was this person's name?
Katie. But she played magic with you, and she said that she felt like you needed your own comedian show because you were hilarious.
Thank you. I've done a lot of skit comedy type stuff. I've hosted
Forget nursing.
panels,
You're the next.
done all that fun stuff.
What is that guy that just turned
Just gonna
blonde?
do comedy about nursing.
What is that guy? Matt, the one with abs, the comedian with abs, got his hair blonde.
Oh yeah,
Matt
that's
Rife?
not gonna be me. I'm gonna be the next Fluffy.
No, you're like
Gabriel Iglesias. I'm gonna be one of the
not Mr.
like to
Clean,
eat.
the one that drives cars.
Mr. Clean. Guy Fieri.
No, the Mr. Clean that drives cars.
The Mr. Clean that drives
Fast
cars.
and Furious.
Oh, oh my gosh. I am.
It's the Jack talking. I can't think.
see him.
I
He's
see him.
in my
His bald
eyes
head.
right now.
We're not speaking again.
Glimmering.
We're silencing. Don't say another word until we know his name.
This is the greatest podcast ever. This is a podcast for introverts.
I want to say like Neil Patrick Harris, and that's not
That's
it.
definitely not it. Yeah, I'm gonna choose a
I just
gay,
said his
publicly
name.
comedic gay man.
There was a rumor that this guy in the pacifier that he was gay.
I mean, I could get that. Like, if it came out and he was gay, I would both be surprised and not surprised at the same time.
We're all a little gay
Because
at the end of the day.
I no longer say no homo.
What
I
do
now
you
put a
mean?
percentage on how homo it is.
Oh, because
So,
you feel like everything's a little homo?
So no, so like if I
I feel bad for saying that.
tell my bro is like, bro, I love you, 25% homo.
How did that
Gotta put a
change?
percentage
Why
on
did
it.
that change?
Because
Is there
it's-
like a...
because it's a spectrum. I
Mm,
touch his butt. I'm not gonna make out with him, but I touch
Okay.
his butt.
so 25%.
I might even kiss him if I'm at a party, but I'm not gonna touch his dick.
Yes.
Okay, I probably would touch his dick, but I'm not gonna.
I'm not judging.
But that's the thing.
50%. If you're going to touch his wee-wee, that's 50% homo, right?
Then we start crossing the 50%. When you start getting at 50%, 49 and below is not gay. 50% is bi-curious. You're
Okay.
at least bi-curious at minimum. And then you go 51%. Now you're gay.
No, you can still be bi 51%. Not bi-curious, maybe. Right now, I feel like I'm riding
Now
that
you're
line.
experimenting. Because I was
Yeah.
also a champion of gay chicken back in college.
Gay chicken.
Gay chicken.
What is gay chicken?
The rules to gay chicken. First rule, neither individual can be gay. Because otherwise it's experimenting.
Or fun? It's just fun?
2, well, you're experimenting. Because at least otherwise it's not gay chicken, it's just gay.
Okay.
Which is fine. Straight individuals act gay towards each other until one of the two chickens out.
I love that you say chickens out when the name is gay chicken.
Yes. One of them has to chicken out.
What, like you
So
put
example-
your hand down someone's
sit,
leg?
Yeah. So like I'd sit down, I'd put my hand on someone's leg, and I look and I'd be like, how you doing? And then you can tell that the game has started because the other guy will look back at you. Doing pretty good, bud. Now gay chicken.
And that's not how you normally speak
Now
to
gay
each other.
chicken has begun.
Have you ever played Suck and Blow? By your face, I'm guessing no. Suck and Blow is one of my favorite party games. I haven't played in a long time because I'm an adult. But you take a deck of cards, but you just need one, and you're in a circle with people. And it used to be the girls suck, the guys blow, but it's gender equality, which I support. So the person that has the card.
I don't know where you're from, but both those words mean the same thing to me.
Suck and blow. You know, I understand.
You can either suck my dick or you can give me a blowjob. Like either
It's
way,
not
the
like
same.
beer pong where the girls would typically where
Whoa! What kind of beer pong are you
Yay,
playing?
beer pong. So
This is why you gotta watch the video. You can't hear the finger motions that she just did. And I could tell that was an experienced finger motion. Now, don't get me wrong, I've used my fingers before. Once again, do not tell my Mormon mother. But
I'm an experienced equality beer pong player. Whatever gets that ball out of that cup,
Freaking
I
beer
will
pong.
do. I will use my toes if I have to. But Suck and Blow is you put the card on your mouth, and if you have it, you're like, and you're trying to keep it in your mouth, and then you go to the person beside you, and as you're going, and you're blowing it onto their mouth, and their job is to and try to keep it, and you can drop it, and you'll accidentally kiss and things like that. But you're supposed to keep it going around just using your mouth.
see, I got so much trouble with that game. So this is back in Northeast. The nowadays things that would end up getting me canceled. So like when I was in theater, I would go around and I would stage kiss everyone.
Oh, like mouth, like hand in
like
front of mouth,
thumb on top of your mouth.
Yes.
And because the thumb is highter and easier to do, so I'm kissing the outside of my thumb.
Mhm.
It didn't matter. Boy, girl, didn't matter. Do that. And then if you had a crush on the girl, you do it so many times with everybody, and then you move the thumb out the way. And I moved the thumb out of the way like once with this girl that I had a little bit of a crush on back then.
You did?
And
What did
I
she
did.
say?
I did. I moved it.
You made out with her.
I kissed her. It was a peck.
Oh,
it was
okay.
a peck on the lips.
No tongue.
She went, oh, and then she hit me, and she was hitting on me and all that kind of fun stuff. But anyways, that was something that I probably would have gotten in trouble with Kiss and Blow, because I sure as hell would have been like,
It's Suck and Blow. Once I dropped it.
So I keep it with my tongue. That's how I keep it on my face.
You just
just licked you. See, in college, that's what I would have ended up doing. I would have ended up waiting for somebody. It probably would have ended up being a guy. But guy comes over, whatever, we do the thing. just blow the card out of the way.
I just want to play like college party games all the time. Beer pong, flip cup, Suck and Blow.
I'd get in trouble. You can't make jokes like that these days. They would all have to be people that I knew very, very well.
I want it to only be people I find like really attractive.
Well, I'm not playing.
You're beautiful. I actually find all humans attractive, but like sexually attractive. You know, like
yeah.
Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah.
That's who I want to play with.
Yeah. I bet you want
Look, that's his little pop player, whatever those are called.
Arrow.
What are those called? Pop heads?
Yeah, they're pops.
Pops. Just
Funko
pops.
Pops.
What?
Funko Pops.
Funko Pops.
Funko is the brand.
I thought you said F-O.
FO Pops.
F those Pops. No, he's a beautiful soul. I wish he would play Suck and Blow with me. I would definitely drop my card on purpose.
When Suck and Blow turns into Suck and Blow.
Do you hear these chairs? Every time I do, I get a little con like, what is this, like 1920s bedroom furniture?
I could see this being in like a
1960s?
Scooby-Doo bachelor pad type of thing.
I'm all for that. Okay, I'm gonna pause that, and I'm gonna go pee. And if you want to pour us a little shot.
Round two.
Do you need to
fight,
pee?
Fight. No, I'm Gucci. Somebody bought tickets.
Oh, that's good. Okay, we're gonna cheers to this episode. And thank you so much for coming on Make Yourself Moan podcast. And thanks for inviting me to the Comic Con. We are redefining the moaning community. It's not just sexual, it is be proud to do more things that everyone likes.
Yes.
I will definitely be moaning at the con the entire time.
As will I.
Moaning, you'll be grunting. You're like,
I'm
so tired.
There will be some grunting involved, and it won't be the fun kind of grunting.
Thank you for tuning in to Make Yourself Moan. Remember, self-love and raw truth are your power. So keep diving deeper and turning up the volume on truth and healing. Until next time, I'm Madison Monroe Curtis, sending you love and loud moans of confidence. If you feel led to, please follow me, like, subscribe on all those socials. I'd love it if you send or email me any and all topics on your heart and brain, and let's unravel those together. Until next time, just keep moaning.